And away we go. It's just me at the moment. Not sure if Risk is going to join, Eric's going to join, a third guy going to join. Either way, it must go on. So, let's see what's in the news for me to rant about. A tiny dog takes a big walk in Hello Toby. Hello, Toby. Toby, a 15-year-old silky terrier with scruffy brown hair and long whiskers, walked happily alongside his owner and best friend Andrea Caceres in New York City one day this past August. He didn't flinch when traffic sounds from the nearby street spilled into the neighborhood park, or when an ambulance with blaring sirens whizzed by. He's a real New Yorker, Caceres laughed, messaged his daughter. But the little dog wasn't always so familiar with the big city. Caceres' new children's book, Hello Toby, is a celebration of Toby's walks in the parks when he first arrived in New York. Toby was born in Valencia, Venezuela. Back then, Caceres was planning to become a civil engineer. While I was studying, I started illustrating, she said, and I started illustrating Toby. Without ever taking a single art class, Caceres graduated with an engineering degree, but she pursued work as an artist. In 2016, as Venezuela's socioeconomic crisis deepened, Caceres moved to the United States and found a position as a textile designer. When I moved here, working. I was working designing for other people. I wasn't doing anything for myself, she said. I didn't have time to do anything for myself. Worst of all, she had to leave Toby back in Venezuela. She missed him immensely, and she craved a creative outlet to help her through all the transitions she was going through. So she started a project. Every day for a whole year, she would draw a different dog. She called the project A Dog a Day Keeps the Stress Away. And the first dog she drew in January 2018 was, of course, Toby. That's nice. Well, despite all the events going on and whatever nonsense was going on in the world today, actually, I prefer stories like this. However, stories like this don't sell well because people want to inject fear into people. They want people to get crazy wild and trying to, oh no, what are we gonna do? There's no need for that. So you know what? It's nice to see a change in pace in today's world, even if, well, terrible stuff is still going on and still waiting for something good to happen from that. But at least there's still good moments in this world that doesn't involve whatever world leaders and whatever dystopian technological advances are likely to pop up about in the next few years. It's nice to have a connection with someone or something. Not too much, but at least something that people care about. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be happy and live in a world that we're all peaceful with each other, regardless where we come from. Of course, there will be arguments about where people come from and understanding certain customs. Fair enough. It's okay to have differences, so long as we understand what those customs are and the culture revolving around it, and we try to learn more through experience. Having actually going through being part of said culture is the best way to know about the culture, is by being a part of it, even as vastly different to your own. US and Chinese officials hold talks in Spain on trade irritants TikTok deadline. US and China are discussing trade issues for 4 days in Madrid, involving US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng. The continuation of TikTok in the US is crucial for progress in trade talks, highlighting its role amid security concerns. Washington and Beijing have temporarily lowered tariffs to 30% and 10% respectively, part as part of efforts to ease trade tensions. So, what was all that for then? I'm not. Well, I have said a lot about tariffs in the past. I understand why it has to be done as of now, given what happened in the last few years. And it does not matter under what administration. It's unfortunate we have to go through this now. But if people are going to make compromises, that is vastly different to what someone has originally proposed, so what's the point? You know what I'm saying, Eric?
I know exactly what you're saying. But yeah, so what are you saying exactly?
Well, I was reading this news article about US and China having trade talks in Madrid, Spain, and of course, one thing to discuss was the continuation of TikTok in the United States and what will happen next.
Ah, yes, and I indeed know exactly what. Yeah. So, yeah, that's probably gonna last forever. You know, someone has the phone. I don't think it's gonna be China. I don't think it's gonna be China. Either Trump has to just concede or just I don't know, give up completely. It's like I don't know. China and TikTok. I genuinely don't think anyone cares if their information is stolen. I really don't. I genuinely don't think anyone cares. Is it a bad thing? Of course it is. But I really don't think. I think Trump underestimates how much people really actually care about it. Do people actually care if their information is like being used for something or just stolen in general at all? If
Well,
not, then like, oh,
the
what
thing
did you say?
is, yeah, I was going to say, the thing about TikTok, for not just people in the US, but many people around the world, it's more than just a platform where you can make content and you share to other people and you get millions of likes and thousands of comments. It's also a bridge that connects many countries and even cultures around the world and allows people on TikTok to be informed of what goes on in this world. Especially one feature which I'm very fond of, and actually I've seen something like that happening on Instagram as well, which is the blue comment or the blue search engine tag. I'm not sure what else to call it, but you go in the comment section of a TikTok video, there's blue text that suggests something that could be that you can type in the search bar on TikTok. You press on the blue comment or text, whatever comes first, and then you go to the search section of TikTok and it shows content that's related to the said search term. I like that. And when that feature was introduced, like at least 2 years ago, it has opened many doors for loads of users around the world. Not just whatever interests users, but also what goes on around this world. And people have even said that this particular feature alone on TikTok has even gone far to even rival the the global influence of mainstream media outlets. If people are now relying on TikTok to get their information, where does that leave for mainstream news outlets? And even if TikTok is to be discontinued in the US, there are still other platforms like X, Instagram, Facebook, and yes. But yeah, even if TikTok does go away for people in the US,
There's oh,
there's still other social media platforms people can go on to look up for
yeah,
information. But the thing
there's
is,
even
given the
no,
influence of TikTok, yeah, people are going to be pissed if TikTok does go away, given the influence that TikTok has had in the last 2, 3 years in terms of how people are informed about what goes on in this world, and of course, looking at content that interests them.
yeah, like I 100% agree. People will be pissed if TikTok is gone, or people will be just very distraught if TikTok is gone. I know last time that didn't go well. One man was he was pressed. That one man, I'm gonna keep bringing that up because that was just appalling. One man was like legitimately praying to Trump asking to bring back TikTok. It was gone for like 17 hours, 14 hours. It's like, bro, calm down. Get a grip. You have other things like X. You have YouTube. You have, you literally have I don't know, Red Note. There's a bunch of other options besides TikTok. But I suppose, like, TikTok, yeah, definitely done a great job at catching, like, people's attention, and, like, just distracting a lot of people, but also making a lot of people. TikTok is also responsible for making a lot of people rich. So I can't necessarily say TikTok is all that bad because a lot of people actually got their success from TikTok specifically. And yeah, can't think any other platform but TikTok. People got their start on TikTok and then transitioned to YouTube, or they got their start on YouTube and transitioned to TikTok. And either way, you know, people owe their some people owe their livelihoods to TikTok. Brett Hall, although I don't think he really does it that much anymore, or at least the dancing videos, he owes his financial gain to TikTok, or at least he owes his relevance to TikTok. I don't think he's that relevant now, but still, yeah, TikTok has helped out a lot of people. Um, but TikTok is also brainwashed a lot of people. It's harmed people mentally. And yeah, I would say like TikTok is like 50-50. It's like there's some good that came out of it, but there's also some bad that came out of it. I can't say that a platform is specifically perfect at all. I mean, I would say that YouTube probably harmed some people, but also is responsible for like, people's financial gain as well. So much so that some people don't even make videos anymore, and they're just like flat out retired and are just living the dream, or just living their dream life, and just with their regular life. I would say also, yeah, PewDiePie. He did his thing for a couple of years. He made a family. Now I think he's living in Japan or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's certainly
so,
living in Japan.
yeah, so, yeah, PewDiePie did his thing for a couple of years. For I think like 10 years, maybe. I don't know how long he's been on YouTube. I know like he's definitely trying to talk about the YouTube game. So it's like, yeah, it's like you got guys who did their thing and then just they put in the work for a couple of years. Dude, even Wrexham put in the work for a couple of years and left. Pops up every now and then they see it, but he doesn't have to anymore. He doesn't have to anymore. He might just pop up every now and then and just left. And he's still living and breathing. Why you have to know that that's the only reason why I believe that he was out of nowhere. Just to let people know. But yeah, other than that, TikTok has its ups and it has its downs. So, yeah, I would say, yeah, TikTok is 50-50. For yeah, but yeah, as for like everywhere else, it's just like, there isn't much for TikTok. Or just TikTok. I won't get it because I don't have TikTok. Also, hold on, also the social media. I mean, okay, listen, I understand. I do understand when it comes to social media. But I don't think I would freak out like that. I don't think I would have it like if they shut down Instagram, it would be unfortunate, but I don't think I would have it in me to just cry about it. I don't know. It's like, I mean, yeah, sure, it would be some getting used to and adjusted, but I think it's just go on Twitter most of the time. On top of that, it's like it's like I don't know. I just don't put that much emphasis on like social media. I mean, I post like I mainly post like biblical stuff on my page. So it's like that's pretty much what I use Instagram for. Or every now and then what's going on in my personal life, or just a photo, just to you know show people. But other than that, that's about it. It's like it would take some getting used to once again, but I think I can. I do think I can. I believe I can. Even Twitter, if I had, yeah, it would probably give me some time to like actually focus on other things. So it's like I just wonder how long is Trump going to like keep doing this? until they basically concede and give him TikTok. Now, if they concede and give him TikTok, you also have to think about what happened to be able to exactly strike or who's controlling them. Like these are questions that you legit like. I hate to say it, but these are questions that you have to ask nowadays. Because it's like, I don't think China would just give up that easy. I don't think China would just give up that easy. You have to be getting something greater from it than what we're like and what they're telling us.
Yeah, very
So
true.
yeah, so it's like they have to be getting a greater game than what they're telling us or what the world in general. So it's just a matter of what will it take for China to sell TikTok to the United? What exactly?
Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah, I was gonna say, and no, oh, I know. I was gonna say, I was like making a dramatic pause coming up, and I don't know what it's gonna be. China is, I'm not gonna say they're hard headed. They're not. Well, some would say that they are, but China is very there's a word. They're very whatever for me, but like other people, for Trump, he's just gonna look like a war. He's gonna look like one. Not saying he is one, but I'm saying like he's fine. For some people, he's gonna look like a wuss, but to other people, he's just gonna seem like he's very consistent. But at the end of the day, you know, Trump keeps fighting the fight. So I'm not necessarily dissing. I'm not dissing you or anything like that. But keep fighting the fight. Trump is not a man that gives up easy. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that. Is there anything else to do?
Vienna wins on home turf as it hosts first Tram Driver World Cup.
Right. That could be a very eventful. Uh, that could be very eventful. Let's try to hear more about that.
On September 13th, 2025, Vienna welcomed 25 international teams to compete in the inaugural global competition for tram drivers held near the city's neo-Gothic town hall. Organizers close to host the World Championship instead of the European Championships to mark Vienna's 160 years of trams, attracting teams from 6 continents. Drivers faced 8 challenges testing precise handling of heavy trams weighing 30 to 42 tons, with audience favorites including tram bowling and tram curling. Hungary's reigning European champions dropped to fourth place, while Viennese competitor Florian Izaku won and said the event felt like a family celebration. The championship reinforced global tram driving skills and community spirit, with about 50,000 visitors attending, and next year's European event set for Warsaw, Poland.
Well, I will say this: that definitely sounds like a very eventful event, and you know, yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. It just sounds very eventful, and sounds like exciting. So yeah, for anybody who's looking forward to that, I can't look forward to it, but I look forward to you guys being. But I don't really know what to say about that. Do you have anything to say about that?
Well, I pay good money to attend that event. It sounds very eventful and very exciting.
Yeah,
I know people may not be fans of trams, but there's so much excitement in even the littlest things, and I think that's great. I think there should be attention to such detail and make memorable moments out of events, out of the simplest of things, as a way to not just take our minds of whatever goes on in this world, but to at least find refuge in having a good time every now and then.
yeah, like I 100% agree. You know, whoever's cup of tea is that specifically, yeah, it's something to entertain you. And I would say I would not. I'm not saying that I would pay for it alone. I'm gonna be honest with you. I would not. I don't think I'd willingly go there alone. But I'd probably go there with other people. In reality, I don't think I'd have a reason. go alone. Yeah, it's just not something that I probably pay for. But yeah, I would say like for the most part, uh, everything definitely does. And, like, for anyone who wants to who's entertained by that, I would say yeah, it's definitely something to like look forward to. But yeah, is there anything else in you?
The many faces of Nepal's leaderless Gen Z revolt.
Hmm. Okay, let's hear more about that.
Indeed, we shall.
Sounds like it should be
That
exciting.
all right. That Gen Z from Bhagat Singh, Che Guevara to Nepal Gen Z, why youths rebel. That Gen Z protesters toppled the oil government in Nepal shouldn't be surprising. From Bhagat Singh to Che Guevara, the face of rebellions has almost always been the young. But why do the young rebel? And what is it that drives them to the streets? Okay, there's something popping up. Okay, when the emergency was imposed, I was 23. Call for Sampurna Kranti had reached Banaras Hindu University by late 1974. I was then a student leader in BHU, which was far more politically active than it is today. My name was on the police list of key student leaders. If caught, I would have faced indefinite detention. Recalls Anirudh Narayan Singh, now 72. One night in 1975, at a student rally, word spread that police were raiding hostels. To escape, I scaled BHU's boundary wall, sprinted a kilometer to the Lanka bus stop, and boarded a packed bus to Bihar, Singh told India Today Digital. For months, I hid in Bahabahua at my maternal uncle's home. I would sleep in the grain storage attic. I also grew a bread to avoid recognition, said the chairman of a Mahatma Gandhi Kashi Vidyapith affiliated college in Varanasi. Singh was, however, arrested nearly 1.5 years later when he came to Varanasi for a student union meeting. Asked if he would have taken the risks had he been a bit older, say in his 30s or 40s, Singh laughed and said, probably not. Once associated with the Samajwadi Party, Singh said the firebrand spirit of his youth had now calmed down. Politics still interests him, but only as an observer. Age plays a crucial role, believes another former revolutionary, Kalan Yadav, who lives in Patna's Rukunpura area. Like BHU's Singh, Yadav was also a part of the JP movement. Once a firebrand leader at Muz Muzaffarpur's B.R. Ambedkar University, who carried a Qatar country-made handgun for self-defense, Singh said he was now merely an observer. When asked if he would have protested outside his 20s, Yadav, a retired chemistry teacher, said martial status might have grounded me even back then. Generally, it is youth that fuels such audacious acts, such as street protests against the authorities. And today, a demographic, or rather, a generation, is in the spotlight.
I'm not gonna lie, that was really long. That was a really long story. I don't really know. I don't necessarily know what it started. Yeah, I mean, first, like first was talking about like there's the ventilators, and then like, then it just went into that. So I really don't know where to start this story. Honestly, do you know where to start?
Yeah, I'm aware of the story about Nepal, the Nepal Gen Z generation overthrowing its government, but I don't know the full history of the between where it started and up until now. I've only heard about this just quite recently, a few weeks ago, as of this recording. And the thing is, in regards to what's going on in Nepal, having their government overthrown by young Gen Z people, I think it all started, or at least the trigger for that moment for Gen Z to overthrow their own government is seeing the number of children of Nepali politicians having so much money that they can spend to get luxury clothes, bags, cars, and be able to travel around the world and eat at very, very expensive posh restaurants in many developed Western nations. And seeing the divide financially between the wealthy Nepal people, mostly of which children of Nepali politicians, and the rest of Nepal's population, the majority of Nepal's population that haven't been fortunate to live in such an extravagant, luxurious lifestyle, they had enough. And what really angered the Nepali people to go out and protest to overthrow their own government was a bill that could have passed, but thankfully, what I've heard, it hasn't happened. Thank goodness. When news got out that Nepali politicians were allegedly about to pass a bill to make into law that social media platforms were to be at best be restricted or at worst outright banned in the country simply because Nepali politicians didn't like whatever information was going out on the internet, on the cross social media platforms regarding their children's lifestyles, which they have gotten because of the payments and financial support that these Nepali politicians have gotten from their own government for just being a politician representing on behalf of the local areas of Nepal. That was the tipping point. That was the moment the majority of Nepal's population, or especially Gen Z, generation that led the protest, they went out to the streets. Although violence wasn't ignited, they've ignited the violence out of frustration and outrage for the lifestyle that the children of the politicians have been living in for quite a while, that so many people in Nepal could ever wish for.
To a certain point where people are just simply just tired of like trying to continue. Yeah, they just let down like frustration and anger, and ultimately speaking, the government like did nothing. Because ultimately speaking, really, what anyone is going to do, what anyone is going to do, it's just a matter of when and where what happens. I would just ultimately hope that no one gets hurt and no one gets sick, so that nothing happens to anyone. No. Sometimes it's just you gotta stand up because you can't be tolerant of everything. Real thinking is not. So, you know, ultimately is like, just complicated. But yeah, is there anything else in
BlackRock to invest $700 million in UK data centers during Trump visit.
BlackRock? How long has it been since we talked about it?
Well, not long enough.
I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah.
You're probably right now, not long enough. But yeah, let's hear more about the situation.
From September 17th to September 19th, 2025, BlackRock will unveil a £500 million UK data center investment and a joint venture with Digital Gravity Partners, with Larry Fink joining President Trump's delegation. Responding to surging AI and cloud demand, and deal aims to meet growth driven by artificial intelligence and cloud computing, as officials highlight the flattening economy, with Sir Keir Starmer's administration praising Britain as a top foreign investment destination. Across the corporate slate, US firms pledged roughly $12 billion, with BlackRock planning a $500 million UK data center investment and Edinburgh office opening next week. Ministers plan to publish aggregate investment and jobs figures early next week, and a government spokesperson said they will work with the US to implement the deals as soon as possible. Amid tariff tensions affecting steel, the announcements highlight artificial intelligence-related data centers spending as a major global trend, raising power strains, with companies committing expanded commercial activity in the coming years.
Well, I would say this can go either two ways. Either it can go a great way, it can go poor. So I would say for the most part, I hope that whatever they're planning, whatever they're doing, can not only benefit them but benefit the people of the country. Because ultimately speaking, I believe that they probably have done stuff like this in the past and it hasn't benefited anyone or anyone at all. It can only benefit their pocket. But as a sacrifice, with the economy just going down. So let's just see what happens here, and hopefully, things will be resolved, and work out for the best of society and best for everyone, every hardworking individual who has a job, who has a family to feed, and yeah, you just gotta see what happens next, because you never really know what's gonna happen when it comes to these things. So yeah, I would say I'm not all. So if you're all in, then ultimately speaking, yeah, I just hope I just all in all, I just hope everything goes well. I really just hope everything goes well for that. But yeah, is there anything else in here?
Number 10 questioned Peter Mandelson on Epstein links before appointment.
Huh. All right, let's hear more about that.
Appointing Lord Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to the US was worth the risk, a minister has told Sky News. Peter Kyle said the government puts the Labour peer forward for the Washington role, despite knowing he had a strong relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It is this relationship that led to Peter Mandelson being fired on Thursday by the Prime Minister. But explaining the decision to appoint Lord Mandelson, Business Secretary Mr. Kyle said the risk of appointing him knowing what was already public was worth the risk. Now, of course, we've seen the emails which were not published at the time were not public and not even known about. And that has changed the situation. Speaking to Sunday Morning with Trevor Phillips, he rejected the suggestion that Lord Mandelson was appointed to Washington before security checks were completed. He explained there was a two-stage vetting process for Lord Mandelson before he took on the ambassador role. The first was done by the Cabinet Office, while the second was a political process where there were political conversations done in number 10 about all the other aspects of an appointment, he said. There is an apparent reference to Sir Keir Starmer asking follow-up questions based on the information provided by the vetting.
Well, I would say, this is definitely an interesting yeah, when it comes to Epstein, things are very, I can't say they're that complicated, but things they're just made in terms of the list and who's on it, who's involved in that. Some people are speculating that Trump was involved in that, that degeneracy and buffoonery. Mostly degeneracy, not even just buffoonery. But I'm not gonna say that he was. I'm not gonna say that he was because it's proof. But ultimately speaking, I think as a society we can all agree that Epstein did it wrong. Whoever was definitely on that register, on that list, on that island in general, it should definitely get their what happened to people on back to those young kids. No one could ever have to deal with. No one. not even like your worst enemy child. Yeah, no one should have to deal with such a such a horrendous event. Yeah, we may know, we may never know, but ultimately speaking, hope everything I hope everything turns out. I just hope in the end like everything turns out great because yeah, justice does need to be served and justice will be served in some way. That's the hope that I have. Sorry, sorry, we obviously have hope. There's God out there. There's a God out there who serves that justice. It can't be us. It has to be God. Clearly, we're not doing a good job. That's it. Yeah. Point is, looking on the people on that they will be revealed. I I can probably list like a couple people who I thought was on that they they not. I'm not going. I'm not going. I'm only saying that. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Is there anything else to do?
I just had something for a second. Ricky Hanton's poignant last Instagram post days before death as fans leave tributes.
Wow. Okay. Oh, wow. Someone else died, huh?
Yeah.
Honestly, honestly very important. First, it's Charlie Kirk from Miami Pilot Robinson, who had his reasons for taking him out, and their partner, I would assume, this disagreement, and now that but yeah, let's hear more. Let's hear more about this news. Let's maybe it'll tell us how he died.
Ricky Hatton, former British boxing world champion, was found dead at his Manchester home on September 14, 2025. Hatton's death followed 2 months after he announced a professional boxing comeback scheduled for December in Dubai against Isa Al-Dar. Hatton began his career in 1997 with a 43-0 record, won world titles in 2 weight classes, defeated Kostya Tszyu in 2005, and retired initially after a 2009 loss to Manny Pacquiao. Peers and organizations hailed Hatton as a legend, with Tyson Fury stating, "There will only ever be one Ricky Hatton," while the World Boxing Association called him a indomitable spirit. Hatton's death prompted tributes and a minute of appreciation planned before the Manchester Derby, underscoring his enduring impact on boxing and fans worldwide.
Well, I will say it's unfortunate that he couldn't make his return. Do we know the age? Do we know the age that he died? Or
Yeah,
it doesn't tell you
he
specifically?
died at the age of 46.
Oh wow, dang, that is not even old. That is actually very important. May God rest his soul. And, yeah, I hope he's resting peace. And ultimately speaking, wow, he didn't. Dang, that is just, that is too early. Definitely too early for any. But yeah, I would say it's just unfortunate that he can make it return. I would wonder if if he had any health issues or anything that contribute to his death. Nonetheless, I can go with his friends and family, anyone who is close, or anyone else who is close. Honestly speaking, it's not desirable to early in life. Can't really control that. Can't really necessarily control that. So I just hope and pray that he rests in peace. Yeah, I just hope that he always and close. But yeah, is there anything else in the news?
Romania reports drone breach as NATO scrambles jet.
Geez, a few more.
Romania's defense ministry reported a breach of airspace by a Russian drone during Russian attacks on Ukraine. The drone was detected 20 kilometers southwest of Chailia, but did not pose an imminent danger to populated areas. Two F-16 jets were monitoring Romania's border with Ukraine when the drone was detected, according to Romania's defense ministry. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky stated that the drone incursions indicate an obvious expansion of the war by Russia.
How long will we keep doing it? How long are we going to keep doing it? How long are we just going to keep fighting and fighting and fighting? You know, how long will we spy on one another? Because, you could probably make the argument this is getting a bit ridiculous, getting a bit tiring. I mean, and on top of it, you're legitimately affecting, like, the people. You're affecting, like, the people who live in these countries by the senseless war and the senseless fighting. Yeah, I would say, like, none of this is ever going to end well. Not that it was going to work anyway. At the end of the day, what can we really do about that? We can't. Well, we know it's useless, but do they know it's useless? They probably do. They're not dumb. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. So instead of praying, hope that stop it.
Faced with rising Black Sea temperatures that suffocate his mussels, Bulgarian farmer Naden Stanev has been forced to change his ways, shifting his seeding schedule and harvesting at cooler depths.
Wow. So it's suffocating his muscles. That's pretty interesting. Huh. I never heard of that. I never heard of someone's muscles suffocate. Sounds painful.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, that's true. But
More actually.
I didn't really know what else to say on it because it doesn't sound good at all.
Yeah. Yet Stanev, a 56-year-old former Marine commando, sees the fallout from climate change as both a threat and opportunity for his business. As bad as it is for Bulgaria's mussel farmers, their peers in the Mediterranean Sea have had to deal with even higher water temperatures. We are better off, Stanev told AFP, though the Balkan EU member still trails far behind major Mediterranean mussel producers such as Spain and Italy. It has taken the lead in the Black Sea, and it is less affected by marine heat waves, which have led to a sharp decline in Europe's mussel crop, according to experts. But the warmer waters are still a threat to Black Sea mussel farmers. About 20% of the mussels didn't survive this year, Stanev said gravely, as empty shells piled up on deck of his old diesel boat.
Oh, those kind of muscles. Huh. I thought you were talking about literal muscles for a minute, like, like our muscles. I don't know why. I don't know why I got that idea. But yeah, that is not a definitely not a good thing. Like, the shells are empty. That's very important. It's bad for business in general. I would hope and pray that things would become differently. Whether become like a little bit more differently. But yeah, it's like you can't really help that. At the end of the day, if the sea is like not providing, it's like all you can really do is keep looking. But yeah, do you have anything to say on this?
Yes. Hopefully, the mussel farmers, they can make a comeback despite many climate challenges, which are certainly beyond their control. But I believe there
Yeah,
is some solution that farmers in general will find to keep the industry alive and possibly innovate beyond just traditional farming methods. Maybe vertical crop farming, with those Ferris wheels things. I'm not sure what they are called, but I have seen plenty of posts on social media about new agricultural methods of farming, which is taking a fraction of the land area, but have a higher crop yield that gives at least 5 times more food than traditional farming methods. And I think if farmers tap into those methods and other sectors of the industry relating to it now, then in the next few years, agriculture in general will be on the up and will continue to be within the up for many, many years.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Yeah, I just hope that things, I just hope things can turn around uh, at the end of it all. Because, honestly speaking, it's yeah, it affects their business. I can't make it out of it. It would have to be more of a hobby than a business. Yeah, I just pray and hope that things become different in the years to get to you. I'm just important that the climate is affecting their business and affecting their
US death rate dropped back to pre-COVID levels in 2024, CDC report says.
Oh, okay. It's pretty interesting. See more about that.
The death rate in the United States returned to pre-pandemic levels in 2024 as COVID-19 fell out of the top 10 leading causes of death, according to a report published Wednesday by the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. COVID-19 quickly rose to the third leading cause of deaths in the United States in the first 2 years of the pandemic, pushing the age-adjusted death rate up to a peak of about 880 deaths for... Hold on. What do you mean, sorry, this content is not available in your region? I just read it from the app and now I'm going directly... I don't know. But yeah,
You
my gosh.
just read it. It's actually funny. That just pop up out of nowhere and saying it's not available.
Yeah, it's a... Sorry, this content is not available. What do you mean by that? I just read it from ground news and trying to go directly to the link of that source and now it just won't let me.
Maybe they're realizing that you're reporting the story and they're like, oh, we gotta take this away from him. Hey, there we go. You can't report on it. Like, hey,
Yeah.
listening or something. Yeah, we posted it, but
Oh
no one
no, I
can
don't think
report
so.
about it. We gotta take it away. Okay, there we go. No one will hear that. Oh man, yeah, when you talked about the pandemic, we can't let anybody know that. We told them because we wanted to be honest. We didn't want anybody to actually report on it. So, they took it away. Oh, alright, that's the end of that. Alright, because, no one should be knowing this stuff. But hey, too bad. People will know it now. But, yeah, in all seriousness, it's great that, it dropped to, pre-pandemic. Considering the death rate dropped to, pre-pandemic. I mean, that actually is, good. I'm definitely glad to hear that. It took a couple of years, but it eventually dropped. So, that is definitely great to hear. That is great news. But I know they're going to definitely try to find a way to, up it again. So, we can have fear-monger and be worried about certain things that are actually we're not certain things that we ought to not be that worried about. But ultimately speaking, we have to see what happens in the year 2026, 2027, to 2030. So yeah, we're definitely in for a ride. We're definitely in for whatever happens, whether they wanted us to report it or not. Given that, yeah, it is great. But yeah, is there anything else in you?
Britain will...
Really? Let's hear more.
On September 13th, 2025, over 110,000 to 150,000 people attended a far-right nationalist march in central London organised by Tommy Robertson, marked by nationalist symbols and inflammatory speeches. The protest followed rising far-right activism fueled by conspiracy theories like the Great Replacement and involved speeches encouraging division and anti-Muslim sentiment. Clashes occurred between demonstrators and police, resulting in 26 officers injured, at least 24 arrests, and about 5,000 counter-protesters participating peacefully in a Stand Up to Racism rally. Prime Minister Keir Starmer condemned assaults on police and intimidation of minorities, stating Britain will never surrender its flags to groups spreading fear and division, and affirming peaceful protest as a core British value. The events highlight growing tensions over immigration and nationalism, prompting calls for national alternatives to counter far-right activism and protect community cohesion amid surging racial hostility.
Now, look, I understand that, there are people who really love it. I get it. You don't want to raise their violence. You what means it. I don't even say that, there's not a problem with raising politics as long as, they don't break their culture. If their culture is so great, they can, change, change their culture, also try to maintain their culture. Or, even, maybe, provide that culture, home culture, whether it's a church, agree with it. Yeah, yeah, they do that. They also force any, change from the entire culture. I think Rick would have more to say. You get the idea. I think Rick
Yes.
really yeah. That's just the main point. Yeah, I get like that. If people want to come legally, that's great. If you want to change their, environment or cultures, if you want to explore different cultures, then that's fine. If they don't live there, if you really if you hardly live your culture, at most visit so I can see how their culture is like and see if it's something that you can live, see if it's something that you can embrace, while also trying to adhere to your culture, while also embracing another culture. Because that's just the culture of this live. I don't even not have to embrace it, but you just have to at least respect the culture of where you're. Don't ever try to get in, don't try to burn it to the ground. But you gotta respect. You don't even have to embrace it. Just at least respect. But yeah, it's different. It just goes to show that people have pride in their race, in their culture. I would argue that people have pride in that. But I would say it's great to be a patriot, but don't make it your whole personality. Don't make it your whole identity. I would say there should be if you do make it part of your ideology, you should have you should have a balance between that and who you are. But it's not making your whole identity, it's not making being a proud white man, black man, or Arab man, or Chinese man, your whole identity. Now, you can be proud of your race, you can be unashamedly proud of your race, and I can be grateful that you're whatever race you are. You can't support someone who puts their race above, everything. Say, you can't support. You should never, especially stupid things. But yeah, I also don't support anyone who thinks that their race is better than people than their other race. I would say as far as we're concerned, every race admittedly has their strengths and I would say we work together. We can build off of our strengths and build off of our weaknesses. Wherever I'm strong, you're strong. Wherever I'm weak in, you're probably strong. You're probably stronger than me. We can build off of that. At the end of the day, different backgrounds, still human. Pretty much, that's kind of how I see it. Yeah. The point is, like, we're all made in the image of God, and, for the most part, yeah, like, we need to build off of it. Whatever I'm vegan, just tell me whatever I'm telling you, you're probably vegan, and, life goes on. But yeah, once again, Richmond has far more to say about it, far more to say about his situation. Yeah, that's all I gotta say about that. Is there anything else?
Ebola vaccination begins in southern Congo.
You said Ebola vaccination? How long has it been? They're just now giving us a vaccination? What, what was this whole thing like? How long? You're telling me this should have been developed in like 2016, right? When was that whole Ebola thing like that? When was that thing like early 2010s, right? I forgot
Yeah,
what year
absolutely,
specifically.
2010s.
I know it's somewhere in the early, probably possibly mid 2010s. But golly, man, bro, how long has it been? You're just now giving us a vaccination on that, for giving them a vaccination on that.
The story
Okay,
reads,
let's just give it.
vaccination for those exposed to the Ebola virus and frontline health workers has begun in southern Kasai province, the World Health Organization said Sunday. An outbreak of the highly contagious disease was announced earlier this month in the locality of Bulape in Kasai and has left at least 16 dead and 68 suspected cases, according to last week's briefing by the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
It has been what, like a decade since Ebola came out. Like they're just now trying to actually do something about it. I mean, granted, it never affected us, it never affected me, but like for the people who are actually from Africa, it affected them for years. You're telling me they're just now actually trying to do something about it? That is just bad. But if they didn't have the resources for it back then, it's fine. I can give them I can like let it slide. It is 2025. You're telling me you didn't at least have something? Nothing? Seriously. What the? Okay. Wow. That is just. You know. Okay. I'm glad they're doing something about it now, but I'm just saying something should have been done a decade ago, a whole decade ago. But all right. Let's. Is there anything else?
I think that is us. Peace.